Okay, so this video looks at working in After Effects to insert the sky, to insert some windows, some interior window light, and also to insert the reflection of the sky in the water here, so that when the water ripples, it looks like the moon is being reflected down there. So back in the start composition here, we can see we've got our dissolve, what's called an intermediate. It's a blue shift created in Resolve, brought into After Effects, and then we're going to work with a couple of matte images which we also created in Resolve. This one is the window mattes and this one is the sky mattes. So we're going to start with the sky matte, and then in the next video we'll look at inserting those windows. So to start off with, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put sky matte in its own composition by pre-comping that layer, and I'm going to call this one sky insert. Click OK and then go into that composition. So all I have in here now is the matte image, but I'm looking to matte the moon and the clouds into my overall composition. So I'm going to go and look for moon. I'm going to drag that down and try and line that up in such a way that it would be where I want it to be in the final composite. Okay, so you can play around with that until it's roughly where you want it to be. You can always go back and move it. Now the idea here is that we're going to put that below our matte image, and we're going to use the black and white areas to create transparency on our moon JPEG. So to see transparency, I'm going to switch on my transparency grid, and then I'm going to set the composite mode of my matte layer from normal to Stencil Luma. So stencil means it's going to make certain part of the image transparent, certain part opaque, and it's going to be based on darkness values. So when I click that, you'll see that it does in fact give me a composited version of my sky. If I go back out to the parent composition, you can see that in there now. Okay, so that's the sky, and that's the composition I've just created. Now, in and of itself, it has a look. There's nothing inherently wrong with it, but what I want to do is to try and blend it back into the original colors of my intermediate blue shift image. So I'm going to change the blend mode of this pre-comp from normal to screen, and you'll see that the purple comes through again, and it gives a nice kind of more integrated look to the sky. So following that, we can try and get our moon down here, and that can be done directly out here on the parent composition. So I get moon.jpg, and again just drop it down there. Now don't worry about the positioning and all that just yet, or the fact that you have a full frame of sky here, because I'm going to open up moon.jpg as a layer, and I'm going to create a very soft ellipse mask just to isolate that enough that I can work with it as a small reflected moon. Okay, right, hit F to feather that. Switch on the transparency grid there as well so I can see what I'm doing, and that will give me something to start with. Okay, right, back out on the composition, you'll see that now it has been applied, the mask. So I can get the layer now, and I can position it. I can kind of skew it down to give it a little bit more of a reflected look if you want. If you want to make sure it's directly beneath, just pull up a ruler and put it over there. Now again, it's going to look a little bit odd, but you can change that by first of all changing the mode to screen, and also probably taking down the transparency a bit so it's not quite as punchy. Okay, so that is giving us a nice reflected moon. Again, we can go back and we can pull up the masks. We can do whatever we want to try and limit how much of the surroundings of the moon is visible. So that is the first part. We've matted in the moon and we've created our reflection.